Good afternoon, investigators. Mike Evans and Casey Pine with episode 288 of the riveting series, Spy Curious. Every Friday at 1 p.m. we get together to positively promote the investigations, security risk management, mercantile agent, loss adjusting and government investigation and fraud control and personnel vetting industries in Australia, and let you know what's happening in news, what job vacancies are happening. And Casey has always got an interesting tip in relation to what she does. Have you got one for us today, Case?
I do. It's more of a talk than a tip, but cool nonetheless.
All right. So while Casey's monitoring the comment section, hi, Jax. Great to see you. I'm going to go through a few things that have happened this week before I get into some jobs, and we'll come back to Casey in a second. Are you been busy this week, Case?
Very.
I would say,
unfortunately,
in 34 years of doing this has been the busiest week I have ever seen. G'day, Joy. Thanks for checking in. Really good news and timely news this week, and I haven't got a photo or any explanation of it. Hey, Chantel, great to see you.
Everyone's here.
Hi, Amber.
Michelle.
G'day, Michelle. Great to see you. We've got a couple of people that regularly watch this program, Maddie and Alex. All this week they've been working in New South Wales, northern New South Wales, doing surveillance at night. And they've had the experience of a lifetime under the full moon this week. There is nothing worse than being a surveillance investigator operating at night and there is a full moon. It's like being in a World War II searchlight. Every movement you make can be seen for miles, and it just exposes you and what you do. Usually you've got the cover of darkness to move around. G'day, Greg. Great to see you, mate. Thanks for checking in. Hope you're well. And usually you've got the cover of darkness as an aid, but when it's a full moon like this, it's almost impossible to do surveillance. So good on you, Maddie and Alex. Well done this week. So, yeah, be aware of that when you're out doing surveillance at night time, everybody. That's really important to take into consideration. So, a few things that are coming up this week. It's probably more important than ever to be a member of an industry association. If you're watching this and you're an Australian Security Academy student, that is your membership of our industry association. Keep it in mind, for general insurance, you have to have this. No matter what the rules are in workers' compensation or CTP, in general insurance, Allianz, Suncorp, Metway, QBE and several others demanding that you have it. And it's a weekly experience for me now to be issuing those to past students who have got the right to have them. If you're a past student of the Australian Security Academy, you haven't got your membership, get in touch with me, send me an email and say, hi, Mike, it's me. Remember I did the course with you back in 2003. Can you send me the membership, please? And I will. Okay. So that's really important. All right, what's happening this week in investigation? Well, this one's on Monday night next week. Down in Melbourne, they have got the Brownlow Medal presentation. Now, you might have heard me talk about this before, and there's big controversy earlier this year where one of the lady reporters in the AFL was interviewing one of the Brisbane players after the game, and they snogged each other off after the game in front of the cameras, right? So this is really big controversy, and they come out and said, well, we're not going to have any of this behaviour on the red carpet at the Brownlow Medal on Monday night. So it's a big occasion, and this is the lady reporter and Daisy Thomas, that's what they're talking about. One of the things I emphasise to you as an investigator running your own business is things evolve, things change. The Brownlow Medal for bullfed AFL footballers, awarding them their best and fairest medal for their contribution to the game over the year, actually on the football field against each other, not afterwards snogging, right? It is a really big event. Today, it's a glamorous event involving the wives and girlfriends and associates and lady chief executive officers of the organisation, all that sort of thing. 38 years ago, when Casey was a little baby, my wife and I were in Melbourne CBD with Casey, so we dumped her with an aunt and we went out for dinner. And we were walking around Melbourne CBD this time of year. It was a lovely, warm, beautiful night. And we were walking past the Elephant and Wheelbarrow in the CBD of Melbourne. And we heard all this raucous noise and cheering and laughter. It was just us in the street, a few cars going past. No security guard, right? It's a different time. There might have been a horse and carriage went past, who knows, all right? So we looked inside. There wasn't a lady in the room, but it was chock-a-block full of intoxicated blokes all cheering, and there was like a scoreboard with people who'd been awarded points in the Brownlow Medal. And it was the official function for the Brownlow Medal at a corner pub in the CBD in Melbourne. And the whole event would have cost $1,500 back in the day, right? That's what it was then. Now, as a business person, you get ahead by understanding how things evolve, moving with the times and going with them. And it's just been incredible to see that this now is a red carpet experience, which is, press and newspapers and TV stations and glamorous event and hairdressers and makeup. And I'm sure the ladies do that too. But that's what it's all about now. Okay, it's gone from an old, just ordinary thing to the massive event that it is today. And it leads me in to one of the big issues that we have as investigators in the investigation industry is we are not very good. We spoke about this last week, at promoting ourselves and the good that we actually do. I was reading some news to try and get some stories for this program earlier this week, and I read that how fresh are apples really came up in what I was reading about. And I'm thinking, what? Apples sit in cold storage for 6 years before you even see them in a supermarket. What are they talking about? So I clicked on it. And then it goes to a full page in the article saying that the apples that you're buying in the supermarket today were probably picked less than 24 hours ago, hand-picked by well-paid, workplace health and safety aware, happy, productive workers. All this crap was in this article about the apple industry. I thought, wow, that is really, really good, because the industry I work in is just totally lousy at promoting itself. I thought I could take that principle and I could actually use it and do it myself. Well, it's early days and I haven't got a lot of time, okay? I've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, well, maybe leave it
All
up
right.
to other people.
I'm doing the best I have with the resources that Casey reluctantly gives me to be able to do this. I mean, I could go to Hollywood and do a full-on production, right?
Yeah.
But no, Casey won't authorize that because she's missing out and I'm getting stuff. So earlier today over in Investigations Uni, we looked at investigation in relation to the indemnity value and replacement value for insurance claims, which was a riveting presentation that just had everybody really enjoying it. We looked at proximate cause over there today. And why am I talking about this? Because we use Investigations Uni as our support program for our investigation students studying our program. It's the way we promote excellence in investigation in the industry by being available to answer questions every Friday, participate in a community of investigators, which never existed before that. Prior to that, there was some diverse Facebook groups with a lot of people arguing. So I was quite proud that we really achieved that today. We looked at insurance fraud in relation to hail damage and how that works, and how the proximate cause is determined in relation to those. We looked at what caused the various losses and how important construction is and pronouns are, with the little pig that built his, her, its house out of bricks. And we looked at assessment centres and how they identify fraud and damage in exaggerated claims and fraudulent claims in general insurance. So apart from my amazing video that you just saw, we do have a platform where we are working tirelessly on it in relation to promoting the industry and excellence within the industry. And we're certainly getting it. So today we looked at how they use these things with hail damage and how the assessment centres pick up that they do that. And not a lot of people know that assessment centres actually do exist. It was good to see in Queensland this week about an article in the Courier Mail about recognising the red flags of coercive control. The government's bringing out videos and information in relation to coercive control, and Casey's going to be talking about one of her initiatives coming up in regard to that in a minute. And also in the news this week, down in northern New South Wales, we've had a police officer who was taken to court down there because he illegally accessed a police database, and he's got himself into strife. I think there were several occasions where he accessed it. He was found out for that, and he's been stood down without pay in relation to it. So that's happened down in New South Wales this week. As we emphasise in all our government investigation qualifications, our professional development and training in here and at Investigations Uni, the number one reason Australian local, state and government public servants lose their job is for illegal access to databases. And it's in relation to personal matters. It's not just looking up where Chris Hemsworth lives or whatever. It's an issue they've got with a person, and it can come back to coercive control. And this is why New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, they take a very hard line on that sort of thing, because people are abusing their position and using that position to access databases illegally. What do you got for us today, Kaz?
I just want to give everyone a heads up. I have a little bit of a lisp. I have Invisalign to straighten my teeth installed this week, and I cannot speak properly or smile. I don't know what to do with my lips or how to. So that's literally what I feel like at the moment. So please excuse me while I get used to my new face in regards to that. I haven't had a medical episode. I'm okay. It's just trying to get my teeth straight. But today I wanted to speak about, well, first I'll touch on what Mike said, the new initiative being brought about by the Australian Security Academy, and that is adding information into our training resources about coercive control and how investigators can be used in such instances. So we had some really great feedback since last week's episode. So we've received a couple of emails with great ideas from investigators, and I love that. Thank you so much. So we've got industry people giving us information, giving us ideas around what they want to see and what they've experienced, which is one of our real strong points of the Australian Security Academy, because we do things like this and we stay in contact with our students, and we have a really strong community. We're not just sitting around and having a cup of tea and making stuff up. We work really hard on these things, and I'm really proud of what's been produced so far. So I can't wait for that to go into our resources just to help new investigators really understand this issue and that they can be used in these circumstances and that you don't want to be used. You can't be blasé about it. We are from Thanks. Yeah, I'm fine. I will be fine. Just have to keep sipping water while I learn how to speak again. Um, so yeah, just showing new investigators that these things happen, and we want to produce the best investigators in the industry. We really pride ourselves on our information and getting the correct information into the hands of our investigators so that they can hit the ground running. And this is just part of it. And I'm really, really excited to get that out there because we will be the first ones, as far as I know, to actually be putting this into a module and creating information and quizzes and assignments around it. It's not going to add this massive extra load to your information. I know there's a lot of information already, but it's just extra stuff to get you thinking and get you thinking about what you might do in that situation if you feel like there are some red flags being risen. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. And I also wanted to speak about something that I've been asked about quite a lot in the past couple of months. And it's people sending me emails and saying, Casey, what do you do with a desktop investigation when you hit a dead end, like the dreaded dead end? We all, as desktop investigators, love our job and we love finding information and we love getting the information that's needed and handing it over to the client with the facts around it and sometimes some intelligence if need be. But what happens if there's just nothing? What happens then? And this happens all the time. And I really want new desktop investigators to realize that it happens. Sometimes people will send abusive emails or write terrible reviews or be doing something, and they're using an alias and they're using an email that's never been used before and that's specific for that, or they've got a phone number that they've created specifically to cause the harm that they're causing. And as an open source intelligence investigator, you can't subpoena Telstra and find out the information. You can't subpoena Google and say, hey, like who started this email account? You can't do any of that. So a lot of a lot of your cases has to do with like how long do you have for the case? Like if it's an urgent case and you have like 2 weeks to do it, sure, understand that. And sometimes you'll hit that dead end, like no matter how hard you try, and you will hit that dead end. Other times yes, it can be a very frustrating process. Other times it's something that's ongoing and you can just consistently check. Like I said, I was check cases regularly that seem to be dead ends. And I had that success a couple of months ago with using the Facebook ID number because they changed their Facebook page to be who they really are. So there's things like that that you can keep looking at. But knowing how long you have for the case, whether it's something ongoing and you can keep looking at it, because your time is money. You're not going to keep looking at a case for a client over 6 months if they've just given you a $500 retainer. Like it doesn't work like that. So you have to speak to the client and set those expectations and then discuss where to go from there. And that just comes down to your own policies and your own practices there about whether you keep that case open or whether it's closed off. And of course, often we will hit a dead end pretty quick. But if you have the time and resources and it's that case, this is like the gold standard of open source investigations. You pivot, pivot, and you do not stop until you find something. So I have this in my head. I don't even think I've seen this Friends episode, but I've definitely seen the short clip of Ross screaming at whoever's helping him carry the couch to pivot. So it's just always pivoting, always looking at what information that we can get next. And as an open source intelligence investigator or a desktop investigator or a skip tracer, you learn and you get more experience as you go along. And there's one thing that I have that you can start developing early as part of your practices is having your own flow sheet. So you can go, you can go with the flow. Remember to have a look back at your flow sheets. I have a couple that I was given as part of my resources when I was training in OSINT, and I just like marked them up and have them so I can refer back, because if I feel like I've hit a dead end, I can refer back to my flow sheet and go, okay, yep, done that, done that. Oh, I haven't done that. Like, forgot about that. Because there's so many different areas we can look at, especially when it comes to email addresses or usernames or phone numbers, things like that. And it's a lot of stuff to store in your head. So just remember to have your flow sheet, have your bookmark stack, which is really important. So when you do feel like you're hitting that dead end, you have places that you can pivot to. So dead ends are perfectly normal and natural when it comes to open source intelligence investigations, desktop investigations. And it depends on how badly that client wants that information and whether they're willing to give you the time and resources in order to achieve that, or whether like it's just one of those things and it's a dead end. So perfectly normal, perfectly natural, happens.
Well covered, Casey. That's the reason we get an investigation is it's too hard for the person to sort it out themselves on the phone. They're not going to pay $800 if they can do something themselves, which is quite easy. So we only get the difficult, we only get the challenging, and we should have in our background the training, the options for that. Police hit dead ends in investigations, usually tied up by lack of evidence or people will not cooperate with them. Loss adjusters hit dead ends. Mercantile agents and government fraud controllers all hit dead ends. With an investigation, your approach has got to be this. You receive your instructions from someone that has an investigation that they require being done by a professional who is licensed. You look at it, you read your instructions, and you look at it and you go, what have I been given? Set of instructions to locate or interview or what? Then you think in your head, what might be available? So you might be able to do surveillance, you might be able to go on the internet, you might be able to go on Tinder, you might be able to go and look at the local area for sale, Facebook page, whatever. And then your final consideration of the three things, what have I been given, what might be available, is what else can I get? And if you get that into your psyche as an investigator, your investigator's block that you will meet might reduce incrementally over time, as Casey said, with experience and an accumulation of options that you can always refer back to. I don't ever get rung up by people saying, Mike, I've done this, what else do you think I should do? That never happens. Most people contacts me about a potential contact somewhere else or that might lead to something else. That's probably the major thing in my network, in my community that I'm used for. So I'm a connector with things, but most of the people that do investigations don't have to rely on me for any extra help beyond their course that they've done in relation to it. So it's quite good, but never be afraid to bounce off someone you work with, an idea or an option that may be able to assist in the completion of your investigation. So once those three questions are answered, if nothing else is available, either you're absolutely complete in your investigation or it's hit that block stage where it just may have to sit for a while before it can be addressed again. This week, it's been 32 years since a person went missing in Tasmania, in the Central Highlands of Tasmania. He disappeared 32 years ago this week. and the police have reopened the case. And the reason they've reopened the case is it's this time of year. This actual day is the day he went missing 32 years ago. They're trying to get into people's minds. Where were you 32 years ago? You know, were you driving somewhere? Did you see this? Did you go past? Any little thing may help them bring closure to that man's now middle-aged daughter. Okay, so there are options that go on forever, and there are limited options. Mostly your cases are going to have a time where it's got to be completed, and you don't have a luxury of a long time. But, you know, the demand is there for someone that has the skills to do it, and your
Absolutely.
confidence in doing it is paramount. One of the things I wanted to address too with the coercive control thing, I really needed to make a really important statement on it, because I've been doing this, teaching of this now for nearly 25 years. I've never received an offensive email from anyone in my community or my network. Anyone I've worked with, I've never seen an offensive photograph or an offensive email. It's quite reassuring when you look at the issues around coercive control and how they've addressed it, the pain and suffering it's caused, that openly, where you could see it, it hasn't occurred with me. I'm quite pleased with that. I've never received an email ever in relation to that kind of thing. So I just wanted to make that perfectly clear. It was part of my aims of saying that this week in our program in relation to that. And I missed to say it before. Now, I've just got to move on to our job vacancies for this week. Once I find them, here we go. All right. Claims investigation specialist for internal fraud is wanted by Auto and General Insurance in Brisbane, the largest general insurance company in the world. So if you want to do fraud investigations in insurance claims, great job opportunity there with Auto and General. Safeguarding Services down in Arlington, Victoria, are after an investigator down there for child safety investigators, Brian F. Davis in New South Wales, looking for workers' compensation investigators to conduct factual investigations. This one's a ripper. You're going to need a certificate for in government investigations. You're going to be an investigator for safety for V-Line. They take it very seriously. 3 years ago, we featured V-Line in this program. One of the biggest frauds ever to hit Australia was committed by some security people at V-Line. And that was one of our weekly newses in one of our sessions. But here, you're going to be the person in relation to safety investigations for trams, trains, ferries, that sort of thing in Victoria. So great opportunity, great organisation. Ernst Young are looking for external security personnel vetting analysts. They want you to be Canberra-based in that one, so keep that in mind. This one, everywhere in Australia. It doesn't matter where you live in Australia. The NDIS is seeking certificate for in government investigation people. Here it says Chermside, Queensland, but you can put in there Glenorchy in Hobart, Parramatta in Sydney, Jerebumbora in Adelaide, in Canberra, Elizabeth in Adelaide, wherever, looking for you to be an NDIS investigator around Australia. It's absolutely everywhere. If you've got your certificate for in government investigations, get on to our website and apply for that job. So if you're looking for the website where you'll see these jobs, just go over here to Facebook, and it's the Australian Private Investigator Corporate and Government Investigation Jobs vacancy page. And you'll see you can search through historical jobs. You'll be able to see Quantum Corp. They want to see you about being a general insurance investigator and workers' compensation investigator there. Southern Cross Investigations are looking for you in Victoria if you're a licensed Victorian investigator. Clarity Investigations employed 2 more Australian Security Academy students this week. And Pinkertons are looking for investigators, New South Wales, Queensland and Victoria. And the Seeker Group are after factual investigators down in Melbourne in Victoria. So there's a lot of opportunities for licensed investigators around the country. couple of news items that came up. Oh, sorry, this was the one I didn't do. Are you into covert surveillance? Do you like covert surveillance? Do you want to make a living out of covert surveillance? Well, the Australian Federal Police are looking for a team leader in covert analysis and assurance. And you can see that job, on our Facebook page, and you will have the best surveillance toys that money can buy, and they won't be from Temu or somewhere like that. They'll actually be from the Spy Shop. So, great opportunity there with the Australian Federal Police if you've got some experience in covert surveillance. SLED, the licensing authority down in New South Wales, come out this week reminding all investigators that if they are an individual investigator being paid to conduct investigations, SLED want to ensure that you get your master license as well, just like they want you to do that in Victoria at the Victorian Police LRD. And FTI Consulting were listed among the sponsors this week of last week's ALIA Australian Insurance Law Association conference on the Gold Coast. So ALIA run really good conferences annually. I highly recommend ALIA to become a member of if you are looking for an industry association that actually conducts CPD, actually has continuous weekly programs like we do at AirLap, actually has inclusive events where you can go to, and you can see the sponsors of the ALIA from last week. They're all listed there: Sedgwick, Halliwell, Denver's List, Liberty Specialists, and FTI Consulting, and Surveillance Central was one of the investigations. G'day everyone at Surveillance Central. It was one of the event sponsors as well. So great to see everybody there. FTI Consulting, we have a lot of graduate students from FTI Consulting, including the person in charge. It's great to see that. It's really good to see this kind of conference, which is really helpful and enjoyable. Clarity were one of the sponsors as well. They're not listed there, must be further down. I couldn't fit them in. So it's great to see that on the Gold Coast last week. Highly recommend, if you're looking for an industry association other than AirLap, jump on to ALIA and join them. I'm a member there as well. Okay, people, that wraps up our program for this week. I'm going to be in Melbourne in the middle of next month. I'm booked out now, totally booked out, conducting interviews for the new business license in Victoria. I'll be in Geelong as well, but again, I'm totally booked out. We'll be back in late November. See you there. So a lot happening around the country. Was there anything else we've got to cover, Case?
No, I believe that is it.
I think we've covered everything, and we'll be back next week with episode 289 of Spy Curious, and Casey will have practice talking.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
I don't
smile
anymore.
We'll see you then. So, people, thanks for watching. It was really great having you in there. Thanks, Asha. Thanks, Joy. See you next week. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Chantel, Amber, everybody, Greg. We've got to run. I've got an appointment that I've got to get to. I'll see you tonight, Case.
Okay.
Look forward to it. See you then. Bye.
Bye.